Welcome back to Blatantly Honest with Makaila Nichols. Today, I sat down with Thais Lopez Vogel. She is a powerhouse for change. Thais is one of the founders of the Volo Foundation. She envisions Volo playing a leadership role in expanding awareness of environmental issues. Her focus is expansive to include childhood education and global health care, which she believes are the core building blocks for a sustainable future. As a mother of six, she also aims to set her goals and values as an extension of the principles that she instills in her children. Welcome, Thais. If you want to tell us a little bit about your childhood in Venezuela.
Well, I was born in Caracas, Venezuela, in a not so big family, three kids, mommy and daddy. But when I was in Venezuela, Venezuela was a free Venezuela. Nobody even thought of leaving Venezuela. Venezuela was one of the richest countries in South America. The oil and the petroleum and everything was beautiful and dandy. So I went to school at a very musical school. Our slogan was, there is no education, there's no culture without musical culture.
Wow.
And we learn a lot about music, of course.
Wow.
And then I went to study law, and then I came to United States.
Wow. So you went from musical school to law to the United States. So a lot of different stuff.
Yes, yes.
So what did the American dream look like for you and your family?
I think my father spoke a lot about America. He went to high school here, Valley Forge, and he was always dreaming of living in America. To him, it was the best of the best, you know. For me, I came here because of love. My first husband was living here, and his father had an accident. He went back. We met at a wedding, and then he came back. We kind of like sent letters back and forth, and then I ended up here. So we got married, and I had two beautiful daughters, Vanessa and Joanna, and then we got divorced. Then I got married again, and then I pretty much raised two other kids, Mitch and Monica, because they were 3 and 5 when they came to my life. So then at that time, it was 3, 4, 5, and 6, the kids we had. And then 7 years later, we decided to have twins. So now it's a pack of six.
Oh my goodness. Wow. As a pack of six. You have your hands full clearly between everything you do and six kids. What I think would be a great question and a great tie-in for the time that we're in right now is COVID-19. So speaking of that, how has that been with your family? Has it brought you guys closer together?
Yeah, definitely. I think it has brought people to understand the priorities in life, that spend more time with your family, that we can work from home like we're doing right now, that we can spend more time with nature, which I'm very in touch with because of the foundation. And people are biking, people are enjoying nature, and the fact that there was less tourism and less planes and less gas emissions had been great for the planet. So I think as a person, we grew, we understand, now we understand a lot of things that we thought we couldn't do. We had to work 24/7 and we have to run everywhere. I think Earth said, wait a minute, take pause and think about what's really important. And in the meantime, the Mother Earth also took a breather, very well deserved.
Yes, yeah, Mother Earth definitely needed a breather. I think, between just us, the way we treat our world and treat each other, it's been a cluster. So I think it's really woken us up. And that movement with climate and everything you just discussed, let's talk about the Volo Foundation. So it started in 2014. There are so many charitable causes, from what I do with anti-bullying to education to you name it, there's a foundation. What made you guys want to focus on the climate?
Well, when we started with the usual suspects, like I always say, education and health. Everybody in the philanthropy world, I want to say, usually focus on that. But my husband, David Vogel, he's an MIT scientist and he's also in finance. And he was analyzing the data. He doesn't believe anything you said unless he analyzes the data and he sees them by himself. And he realized that the major threat for future generations is going to be climate change. That's why we decided to do 70% of the foundation with climate, and then the other 30 is still health and education, and we have programs around that. But yeah, I think always thinking of our kids, always thinking of the future, always thinking what's best for them, we decided to take a second look at climate.
What is something that you guys believe your organization might want to align more with in the future?
Well, that's funny that you asked that because my husband, he started in summer thinking a little, because of COVID, I think he wants now to dig more into the health side of the foundation. So I think now the big step for 2021 is going to be opening we have a newsletter for Volo Foundation, it's called VCN. Now we're going to have the newsletter for VHN, which is Volo Health News, and we're gonna kind of like grow on that side of health. Which is funny that you asked also about the family, because when we were all together in Hawaii, our oldest son Mitchell, he decided finally to start digging into something that has to do with the foundation, and he loves the health side. He runs marathons, and he's working for us, which is always good.
Yeah. So how did that happen? Did you ever think you were going to get involved with philanthropy, and now your whole family's involved? So how did all that come about?
Well, I remember when I was little, I always pledged at least $10 to St. Jude's. St. Jude's has always been, for some reason, I don't think cancer and kids should ever be in the same sentence. So it always hit me really hard. So I think the philanthropy was always in me. And now we're in a privileged place where we can give.
I think giving back to the community, I mean, if you're able to, is very, very important. But even if you're only able to contribute like the $10, like you mentioned, like doing that as a little kid, every bit.
And we did, as a family, we always gave, it wasn't the amounts that we can give now because of the foundation, but we were always giving back to the community. The Make-A-Wish here in Central Florida was always one of my also close foundations that I was always giving a little.
Definitely. We met at a Best Buddies event, which I think is absolutely incredible. And you had mentioned that your sister has Down syndrome. Did she ever experience bullying?
I think she did, but luckily for her, she doesn't realize that the kids were making fun of her. I think we, the brothers and sisters, were more mad about the fact that people was bullying her than her. She lives in her happy place, and that's amazing because they don't realize. I think that even with bullying, I always think it's not what they tell you, is how you take it, and never take anything personally. I remember I worked for LA Fitness for a long time, and sometimes people would come in and you greet them, and you don't know if they had a fight with their wife or husband at the door, if they got a car accident, and they're coming with all this rage, and they just explode in front of you, but it's not with you. So I always tell my kids, don't take anything personal, because you don't know where that person is coming from. And if someone tells you something bad, it's on them. You're the better person, always go high.
That's great advice. I think when people are mean to us, we can always want to attack and be like, "Oh my God, I'm not going to take that." But it's how you said, it's how you react, and it's how you process. Because it's easy to be mean, but it's more difficult to be kind. How we should.
Definitely. How did you do it?
Oh my gosh, it took a lot. I think I'd like to hold myself to a higher standard, right? And being in the situation that I'm in now, and a lot of kids look up to you, it's like, all right, do I show them that yes, it's very easy to want to snap at someone, but it's harder to take the high road? And I think people that want to be role models and want to be inspirational, we have to always hold ourselves to that.
Yes.
Do you ever find that because of the position you're in, and you live a life of luxury, but also you're very humble, do you find that people try to tear you down still?
I think, unfortunately, women so different from men. Men are so simple. And when you talk to men, and it was funny because growing up, I had more male friends than females. And it's because among women, there is so much competition and there is so much those. I always tell them, even at work, I'm like, please, we're not in high school anymore. I mean, those were the mean girls in high school. And I always try to push every woman in my team, and I have an amazing team. We push each other, we bring the best of each other, and we you don't have to like cover the light of someone to shine brighter. If you bring that light higher, you're gonna shine more. Always try to bring people up, never put them down.
Definitely. Yeah, I think us women, men are kind of in their own world, but women, my goodness, like they are just like, it's catty. It's how can I outdo someone? And it's like, why? Like, we should be the type of women, and you and I are, so we don't have to worry about that. But like others to like help, women inspire women, women empower women. Like, that should be the reality. So, do you think, when you were a kid and you experienced, whether it was bullying or anything, do you think that we're getting worse as a society or better?
I didn't experience bullying actually. Maybe I was a bully and I don't know. And I just had a friend's conversation that, do you remember you and me? I was like, no way. But I think it's a personality issue too. It's how you take it. I was always very tough. I was always brought up and I don't care what you talked about me. I just ignore you, and I'm pretty good at ignoring people. So it never hit me. But I talk to my daughters, like I said, and they talk about the bullying at school. And I always tell them it's not, again, it's your reaction. If you ignore the person, that's going to hurt them more than if you react, like you say, I will just turn around and don't pay attention.
Yeah. I think that's difficult for a lot of people because we have this like whole, the flight and fight response. A lot of people unfortunately want to fight. I don't know what it is about society lately, but I feel like everyone's just on edge. So, as a mother, what worries you most about the way people treat one another and treat the world?
Well, definitely treat the world because climate change is a reality that is a threat to health, is a threat to the agriculture, to the economy, is a national security threat. And people have to open their eyes. And the good thing is we have all the tools and all the technology to reverse it. So we just have to act. That's what I tell everybody, go vote. And not only the presidential campaign, any just be more participate in every event in your community, in your state, in your it's everywhere. Is at your school as a parent, the PTA, the HOA, all those things. But climate is it worries me because the quality of life of future generations is gonna be less. I want to say less livable, but we're gonna pass this. And as a people, I think they need empathy. That word has been lost in the vocabulary for a long time. And honor and ethics and empathy. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Every time you're gonna judge someone, you're gonna criticize someone, or you're gonna speak, just think about where that person is coming from, or what they're feeling, or how they look at the life, and the problems is so much different when you put yourself there.
Yeah, I think people definitely lack empathy. I think that's something that a lot of, even my generation, the younger generation, we're coming up in this egocentric kind of world. So we're not paying attention to how our peers feel and how we're treating things. And I think we're being very disrespectful, especially to the planet. So with that, what do you have to say? Because I know, and it's my generation, a lot of them that are like, climate change isn't real, it's fake. What do you have to say to those people that think it's a joke?
But I always say, if you're sick, you go to the doctor, right? If the scientist is behind it, all the numbers are there for you to when a hurricane comes, You look at NOAA, right, telling you where the hurricane is going. It's the same science. NOAA is also telling you that climate change exists. So it's kind of like an oxymoron to say, oh, I listen to where the hurricane is coming, but no, I don't believe climate change is coming. Or if you get on a plane, I mean, if you believe the technology works to get you up there, that's the same science that is telling you that climate change is real. So it's kind of like the deniers. I think there is a lot of money behind that. There is lobbyists, and that's in the fossil fuel industry is driving the most money right now. But I know energy transition and transition to renewables is a lot. It's going to generate a lot of jobs. It's going to empower young generations, is gonna make you innovators, technology seekers, look for the not the problems, for the solutions. I always tell my kids, don't bring me the problem, bring me the solutions. And I think this generation is growing up with the problem, and the problem is out. Nobody is talking about whether it exists or not, because it's here and we see it. Military people tell you is a national security threat. So at this point, we just need the solutions, and what are we going to do to solve it?
What is the Volo Foundation doing to help solve this problem?
Well, right now we have that great initiative that we were in front of the city hall this morning, create awareness. Education is the number one. You start with your children at home, but definitely this initiative is to create awareness. And we decided to pick the three most important things for Floridians: the beaches, the wildlife, and family tourism. So the rise temperatures. So there's one in Miami, and that one, when it melts, it says more heat, less beaches. The one in the zoo in Tampa is a panther with a little cub, and it was literally melting as Congresswoman was talking. She was there, and it was melting, and the message is more heat, less wildlife. And this one that I unveiled today is a grandfather with a granddaughter eating ice cream. And what we're trying to tell you is these are the most important things in Florida, and in a future not too far, we're not going to be able to go outside because people heat strokes. The kids, 1 out of 10 kids in Florida suffer from asthma, and that's because of the pollution in the air. And when the high temperatures, when the summer is longer, the pollination is higher, so there is more asthma and respiratory disease proliferating. And we also have the tourism. Obviously, it's hard already to go to Disney and stand there in the lines forever. There's going to be a time where people aren't going to want to do those things, and it's going to drive the economy down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. I think especially just with everything getting hotter, and especially living in Florida where I feel like it's hot all the time. I mean, I'm noticing that it feels hotter and it's staying longer. It's like those are things that they're happening for a reason.
Yes.
So have you been able to ever, this is totally a random question, have you ever been able to travel to like Alaska or see, like the ice caps? Have you done any of that?
No, I haven't seen the ice cap melting. As a matter of fact, because I was scared, I was invited to go to Iceland, and I've been invited to go to the Arctic with WWF. And I'm like, no, what if it breaks in the middle of it and I'm there? I'm like, no, thank you. I can see it on TV. I see how it's literally melting. So I always say, if you don't believe, we don't want these melting sculptures to be our reality, and that's pretty much the message. But if you don't believe in climate change, look around at the wildfires in California, at the Arctic melting ice sheets, at the sea level rise in Florida. And if that is not enough, the economy is suffering. Irma alone cost us $50 billion, and we, the taxpayers, pay for that. So it's kind of like connect the dots, connect the fact that climate change is affecting the most important things in your life: health, economy, tourism, immigration. When the Bahamas got hit by the hurricane. Everybody came here. So people think, oh, the immigration is a big problem, but it's driven by climate change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are forced to leave their homes because of this. So what do you think personally, just like you, 100% personal, what scares you the most about climate change?
I think it's the quality of life for my kids. Unfortunately, hurricanes are gonna be more devastating because for every Fahrenheit grade on the in the water, the category of the hurricanes are bigger, higher. So in 82, 83 degrees, you have a category 2, 3, but in 84, 85, you have a category 4, 5. So that is going to be scary. The lack of food, the agriculture, because of the climate patterns, like changing so fast, you have either floods or droughts, and then the food costs, they're going to have to do something with the food that didn't grow or it went bad. So the cost of the food is gonna increase. So you're gonna have problems finding food, or it's gonna be too expensive, or the hurricanes are gonna be too devastating. But it's hard. It's hard. But that's why education is so important, because we have to give you the tools, and the politicians and the governments of globally, they have to give people the tools to adapt and to address the issue.
Do you think it's too late for us to help save the world? And do you think, because people are like, oh, it's too late, it's a lost cause. What are your thoughts on that?
And I think that's why so many people turn around, and they don't want to talk about climate change because they think it's too scary, it's too big of a problem, and we don't have solutions. It's not too late. We haven't passed the tipping point. We have the solutions. We have carbon pricing. We have so many technological things that grab the CO2 from the atmosphere and put it back in the ground. There's so many experiments out there. We even have a satellite. We were talking about a satellite that can tell you from not another planet, but it's in the galaxy out there, and it tells you where all the methane leaks are on Earth. So it can pinpoint exactly which big industry or which corporation has leaks. So we have gone so far that I have no doubt that the people, the young people like you, are gonna fix this problem.
I hope so. We have to. Someone has to. So I guess the question that I asked you the other day at lunch just keeps coming to my mind. So I know we're not there yet with space and, all that kind of stuff. Do you think, just future thinking totally only, do you think that space and the climate is really, like, let's picture Earth, right? Earth, we get rid of Earth almost because we've treated it so poorly. What do you think that could potentially do to the galaxy, if anything?
I think I'm gonna be dead by then. I shouldn't even think of that.
That's too far. Uh-huh.
And that is also another reason why a lot of people think, oh, climate change is gonna happen, but it's so far away that it's not gonna hit me. And it's not. It's here. It's hitting you every day. You just don't recognize it.
Yeah.
But I have never thought that we can have a better planet than this one. When COVID hit and we were able to see the Himalayas again because the smoke wasn't around it. When we saw the even fish in Coral Gable down in Miami, a fish that we saw, it was extincted. It was there. So it was like, it's so beautiful. I mean, we have such a beautiful planet that we should share it, and we should just enjoy it here, because I think it's kind of hard to go out there and find another one.
I agree. Yeah, let's appreciate what we have and save what we have before it's too late.
The grass is not greener on the other side.
Yeah, who knows if there even is grass elsewhere.
Exactly.
What is one takeaway that you want people to know either about you, your family, or the Volo Foundation as a whole?
Well, from Volo, I want you to follow us. I think the most important thing is to educate people. And if anybody wants to see videos, wants to learn more about the climate crisis and everything, we are a private foundation. We don't raise any money. We're not gonna ask you for money. You just subscribe to the BCN if you want to. You don't have to. You can open our page. It's in Spanish, English, and French, and you can learn. You can learn about the issue. I think the most important thing is talk about it. It's not a political issue. It's not red or blue. It's green. And climate change is gonna affect you no matter your color, your race, your social status. It's not gonna discriminate.
Very powerful. What is one thing that you've learned throughout all of this process from your philanthropic side that has really made you a better person?
Oh my goodness, I have grown so much. I have, I think that you look at the world in a different way because you have so many people coming to you for just a little help. And you just want to say yes to all of them because they all have good causes. And so I have to learn to say no. That's one of my negatives. I always say yes, and you have to be more selective. Like my husband is like, please don't another program, and I'm like, oh, but this is good. Like best buddies. When my sister is Down syndrome, when I was living in Orlando and she came here to live with me, I couldn't find a place where she could have a job or go to school. And all of a sudden, now I find best buddies. And even though she's now back in Venezuela, I'm like, oh my God, I have to help them because
It's a home chord, a heart chord. Well, you are just an incredible woman, and I'm so proud that I met you, and everything that you're doing is just, I love the fact that you're combining art with climate change, and everything you do is so never been done before. And I think that's so admirable because you're really putting a spin on it and making people think like, oh man.
yeah, I think we're trying every way we can, but I have a certain passion for art, and that's why when the CLIO organization presented that initiative to us, I couldn't say no. This time it really hit my artistic side. But I have to say thank you to you. We were just talking about you with Ben, and he's like, such an amazing woman at such a short age, and she's such an accomplished. I mean, he loves you, we love you, and thank you for everything you're doing too for this generation that does feel the bullying more than we did. Be bold, be you, be blatantly honest.